Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And in today's range report, we're going to be taking a look at a modern version of a classic firearm. And the gun that we're going to be taking to the range, talking about, shooting, and reviewing is the Sig Sauer P220 Legion SAO, or single action only. This version is chambered in 10mm, or as some people say, the best millimeter. Being that this is from the Legion series, it is finished in a special coating. We have special grips with the Legion logo on it. The Legion logo is also on the top of the slide, and these are supposed to be the best of the best that come out of the Sig factory. The P220 was originally introduced in 1975, chambered in 9mm, and was the replacement of the P210 in the Swiss military, and those have a legendary reputation for durability and accuracy, but these guns do as well. And this is the gun that Sig claims launched them into the modern era of firearms, because pretty much all of the other pistols that we have come to love from this company were all based off of the 220. Guns like the P226, the P228, and the P229. So this is going to be a lot of fun to take to the range and shoot. And I think this is the first Legion Sig I have ever reviewed. So before we get this to the range and talk about all the things that I like and don't like, as always, I want to thank the people that make these videos possible. First and foremost is the owner of this beautiful pistol. He's a local fan and subscriber. His name is Michael. So Michael, thank you again for lending this awesome gun for me to review. I always want to thank my Patreon supporters, because through their monthly donations and support, they help keep the lights on around here, and I could not do this without their support. And if you guys want to join my Patreon for as little as $1 a month, you get to see all these videos early. I'm going to put a link in the description below, so go check that out. And as always, I want to thank my primary sponsor, who provides the ammunition for these range reports and makes them financially feasible for me, my good friend Mark from Brownworks. And once again, I am reviewing a classic firearm, a gun made of steel. And most of these guns use panel grips, often wood panel grips. Now this one has grips that are made of G10. But we're talking about guns like 1911s, Browning High Power, CZ75s, or Beretta 92s, just to name a few. And you probably have quite a few of these guns in your collection, and you might be looking to upgrade these guns with a set of unique and custom grips. Well, the perfect grip company for you to check out is Brownworks. Brownworks is a custom grip company making a wide variety of grips for a wide variety of firearms out of a wide variety of exotic woods and materials. Mark is an artist and he's a craftsman. He's always coming up with new and innovative features for his grips. He can apply custom logos, custom engravings, custom textures, finish these grips in a wide variety of colors, create his own laminate woods, and even apply exotic materials like snakeskin and alligator skin to make these grips unique and one of a kind. Every set of grips he makes is made to order. So I'm going to put a link to his website in the comments section below, as well as a coupon code for 10% off your first order. Please go over there, check out everything he has to offer, and when you place your first order for your set of custom grips, please tell Mark the Texas Gun Vault sent you. So once again, let's talk about the firearm we have on the workbench today, the Sig Sauer P220 Legion SAO in 10mm. Now this is an enhanced P220. It is part of their Legion series, so we have a special finish. This is called Legion Gray. We have a set of G10 grips with the Legion logo in it. It is single action only, so the manual of arms of this gun is very similar to that of a 1911, but it's not a 1911. It is hammer fired. We do have a thumb safety. And the specs on this, it has an overall length of 8.8 inches. It has a width of 1.5 inches. The barrel is 5 inches long, just like a government size 1911, and it weighs 44 ounces because this frame is made of stainless steel. Many of the other P-Series pistols have aluminum frames, so this is a pretty darn hefty gun. Now, before we get this to the range and find out how it shoots, I always want to talk about the things that I like and don't like. And the first thing I love about this gun is that it is a Sig P-Series pistol. Honestly, these are some of the best guns ever made. They might not be the greatest of all time, they might not be your favorite, but you have to admit they have a legendary reputation, and there's a reason why variations of this gun have been adopted by police forces and militaries all around the world. In fact, the United States Navy SEALs have used the P226 Mark 25, and the P228 was used as the M11 in military police forces here in the United States. So the Sig just has a great reputation and a great history to it. I'm a big fan of the fit and finish of this gun. Sig did a great job with this Legion Gray. It really feels like this gun is tight. The slide to frame fit is awesome. It comes with a set of Sig night sights, which is a nice upgrade that many other companies don't offer. Glocks come with a set of polymer sights, but Sig gives you some metal ones right out of the box. You can still change those out if you don't like them, but they're definitely a nice upgrade as compared to many of their competitors. I also like this thumb safety, and I have to tell you, it locks into place very solid. It's just like a 1911, and so I would say this is safe to carry, cocked and locked. The last thing I love about this gun is the trigger. The single action only trigger is designed to give you the best pull possible. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust the camera, get out the lineman trigger pull weight gauge, and I'm going to show you what this trigger is all about. So as I stated, the trigger in this gun is pretty darn good. And of course, it's part of the Legion series, which is an upgraded version of the P220, plus it's a single action only trigger. So let's go ahead and drop the magazine, and sure, there is no ammunition in it. And of course, safety check the firearm, visually inspect that chamber, and we are clear. So now let me show you this trigger. Let's look at the take-up first. It kind of reminds me of a two-stage trigger. We kind of have a long take-up, but that is very smooth and very light. We come back to a very definitive wall, and it breaks very crisp. I do like that a lot. Let me show you that one more time. Very long, but very light take-up that can be staged, and that feels great. Now let's take a look at this reset. Maybe a little bit longer than some of its competitors, but not too bad. And then once it resets, you have a little bit of this take-up, which is smooth. You come back to that wall, and you have that great crisp break. It really does feel nice. So now let's get out the lineman trigger pull weight gauge and see how heavy or light this trigger is. Let me clear the averages out. And for our first pull, we have 5 pounds on the dot. That's kind of surprising because this trigger feels lighter than that. £5, 1.9 ounces. £5, 4.8 ounces. £5, 4.8 ounces. And finally, we have 5 pounds, 0.7 ounces, which gives us an average of 5 pounds, 2.4 ounces. And as I said, that trigger is measuring a little bit heavier than what I think it actually feels like. It feels like a great trigger. So I was actually kind of expecting it to be in the upper 3s or lower 4s, not in the 5s. But it does feel very good, and hopefully that's going to translate to a very nice shooting experience. Now, one more thing I want to talk about before getting it to the range is the one thing about this gun that I don't like, and that's going to be its capacity. Yeah, the P220 is a single stack gun. Now, for a long time, Sig offered the P227, which essentially was the P220, but in a double stack configuration. That particular model has been discontinued, but it would be great to have essentially this same gun in the Legion series, single action only, chambered in 45 or 10 millimeter, but with a double stack magazine. But I don't think this is going to be too bad after all. We are going to be shooting 10 millimeter through this, and as I said, some people call it the best millimeter. So now it's time to get this thing to the range. So as always, I'm going to start off with the target at 7 yards. I'm going to put 2 magazines through this and just get my initial thoughts and opinions on it. So hopefully it's going to run well, it's going to be accurate, it's going to be light recoiling, but we'll just have to find out. So let's go to the range and let's do some shooting. So the first thing I have to say is this is probably the lightest recoiling 10 millimeter pistol I have ever shot. It really feels wonderful in your hand. I would put the recoil impulse a little bit more than a 9 millimeter. And I think it has a lot to do with the hefty weight of this pistol, the all steel frame. Now, it does get a little bit tiring holding it up for so long, but overall that is going to mitigate the power of the 10 millimeter, and I really think this makes this a good gun for people that like 10 millimeter but might be a little bit recoil sensitive. But now let's talk about that group. It wasn't the best group in the world, and after shooting this I was once again reminded about something that SIG pistols typically have, and that's something called the combat sights, and I know other people have the same issue that I do. So typically when it comes to a 3-dot system of sighting, you want to put that front dot right in the center of the rear 2 dots. However, that's not typically the way SIG sets up their sights. You're supposed to put that front sight a little bit higher. Most SIGs are going to shoot low for most people. So after shooting it, I'm like, oh yeah, I have to have a different hold. So now we're going to double the distance of this target. Hopefully this group will get a little bit better at about 15 yards. So let's go back to the range, put 2 more magazines through it, see if it continues to run great, and see if I can tighten up this group. And this group is definitely opening up a little bit more than I want it to. I am struggling with elevation, and once again, that's because of the SIG combat sights. But also, I know some of you are saying in the comments section right now, Jason, you're just a terrible shot. That gun is a way better shooter than you are. Well, I would agree. However, I'm going to ask you to go look at some of my other reviews where I shoot pistols at this distance, and you can see the type of marksman I am. Now, I'm not going to shoot every gun great, and while I'm struggling with this gun, I'm hoping that I can figure out what the issue is. For me, it's just not consistent. As I'm struggling with windage, I'm trying to adjust for that in the middle of the magazine, but then when I think I have it dialed in, the round goes someplace else. I really can't figure it out. And I can hold this gun pretty darn steady. As I said, it's very light recoiling. But I want to try this again. So let's go back to the range, put a couple more magazines through this as I'm really trying to figure out this gun and what its tendency is when it comes to accuracy. So let's go back to the range and see if I can do any better. And I'm working really hard to try to pace this out and shoot this gun really well. I seem to have the windage issue a little bit better, but now the elevation I'm still struggling with. As I said, sometimes I feel like I know how high to put that front sight over the rear, and then I shoot it again and it goes someplace else, and it's wildly different. So I'm really struggling with the accuracy of this gun. So maybe this just isn't the one for me, and maybe this is a tack driver for you. But for me, it's just not shooting as consistent as I would hope. Now, if I have the opportunity to put hundreds and hundreds of rounds through this, I might be able to figure it out. But now that I'm really taking my time with it, I am once again reminded about how heavy this pistol is. This thing is a very hefty gun. It's giving me that light recoil impulse, but after a while, you're like, wow, this thing is heavy. So it might not be the best carry gun. But now I want to see if I can do any better if I take as much of the human element out of the equation as possible. So I'm going to set the target out at 25 yards, and now I'm going to shoot this from the bench. Hopefully I can do a little bit better. So let's go back to the range, put 2 more magazines through this, and see once again if I can tighten this group up. And that group is a little bit better, but I still am disappointed. And even when I'm shooting this from the bench, it's just inconsistent. And I can't figure it out. I don't know if it's the sights or the gun itself. It's still pretty good range or practical accuracy, but it's not what I was expecting out of a Legion. And once again, I know you're going to say I'm just a bad shot, but go look at some of the other reviews of other pistols I have done. So now the next test I want to do is to see if this gun can reliably feed hollow points. You might buy this gun for home defense. So of course you want to know, is it going to feed this ammunition? So let's go back to the range and see if I have any issues with these different projectiles. And as expected, this gun ran flawlessly. No issues whatsoever. No failures to feed, failures to extract, failures to eject. But that's what I would expect from a SIG. But now let's talk about this group. As you can see, with this ammunition, I wasn't having as much of a problem with the windage, but I definitely was with the elevation. So it might be the sights or it might be the gun. I really am working hard at getting a good group with this pistol, but for some reason, I'm just struggling with it. All right, so the last test I want to do is a three-parter. I want to number one, see, can I shoot this gun fast? I also want to see, can I change out the magazine quickly and get it back in action? After all, this is only a single stack magazine, so most likely if you're going to carry it, you're going to want to carry some backup mags. And of course, I want to know, can you easily point shoot this gun? And I want to test that because while many people say, well, when it comes to a self-defense scenario, you want to line up those sights, well, you might have so much adrenaline pumping through your veins and you might not have time to get a good sight picture. You can just draw your gun, point, and try to stop the threat. And in that case, is the gun easily point shootable? Is it going to hit the target without any effort? Well, that's what we're here to find out. So let's go back to the range and test these three things out. So let's break these results down. Number one, can I shoot this gun fast? Yeah, for the most part I can. I already showed you that this gun has a fantastic trigger. Number two, can I drop the magazines out of this gun quickly and get a fresh one reinserted? Well, the first part of that is yes, these magazines just fly right out of this pistol. But upon reinsertion, they get hung up just a little bit. And I think they're hanging up on that magazine release. You really have to slam them in there to get them seated properly. So if you're going for the quickest magazine change, you just have to be aware of that. And that little hang up could slow you down. Now, is this gun point shootable? Yeah, for the most part it is. As you saw, all those rounds were on target. But once again, if you look at that group, I was struggling with elevation. So what are my final thoughts on the Sig Sauer P220 Legion single action only in 10mm? Well, I think this is a really nice gun. It seems to be well built. I love the finish of it. It seems to be high quality, and I would not expect less from Sig, especially in their Legion series. This gun is feature packed. It has a rail out here in the front. We have front and rear cocking serrations. It is optics ready. It has some nice G10 grips on them. It also has a great single action trigger, and it is very light recoiling, especially for a 10mm pistol. Now, there's only two things about this gun that I don't like. Number one, it is a little bit on the heavy side, but as long as you're not going to carry this gun, that's probably not going to be an issue. And then there's the elephant in the room, the accuracy. Now, why couldn't I shoot this gun as accurate as other pistols? I don't know. Now, typically I do struggle with the SIGs just a little bit because typically I shoot them low, but normally I get a really good group with them and I just have to adjust for elevation. But this one seems to be all over the place. And before you tell me that I'm a terrible marksman, please, once again, go to my other reviews and see how I shoot other pistols at these ranges. I really do my best, and I will never hide from you the actual results of my shooting experience, even if it makes me not look as good as other YouTubers. I'm not going to hide those results because I want to give you the best information possible. Now, could these accuracy issues be the gun? Could it be the barrel? Could it be the sights, the ammunition, or could it be me? Or maybe a combination of all of those things? The answer is yes, or maybe. But that's why I like to review these guns and show you everything that I discover, because not every gun is going to be great for you. This gun may be a tack driver for somebody else, but for me, it's not. And you can decide if what I am experiencing is going to change your mind about this gun, and maybe it mirrors your own experiences. So on my star system, how would I rate the Sig Sauer P220 SAO Legion in 10mm? Well, I'm going to give this gun 4 out of 5 stars. Overall, I am really happy with how this gun performed. And even when it came to the accuracy, I still think it is pretty good range or practical accuracy. If you're buying this gun for home defense, it would be perfectly fine. But if you're buying this gun to be a tack driver or a target gun, I think you might come away being a little bit disappointed. But from a function and reliability standpoint, it ran perfectly, and it is the lightest recoiling 10mm pistol I have ever shot. It has a Cadillac recoil to it. Another advantage to this gun is if you don't like 1911s, but you want a quality hammer-fired single-action semi-automatic pistol, this is something you might want to look at. So there's a lot of good things happening here with this pistol. But 4 out of 5 stars for me on the Sig P220 Legion 10mm single action only. So tell me in the comments section below, do you struggle with the Sig sighting system like I do? Do you own any other P-Series pistols? And do you have these issues? Please tell me in the comments section below. And as always, thanks for watching.